all you Metamaniacs. This is T Money G, and I'm coming to you with the third in a series of videos about Galactic Conquest, a new game mode in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Now, we had the opportunity to have exclusive interviews with the developers from Capital Games, as well as to play the game mode with the developers, which was really fun, and we got to dive deep into this new game mode that's coming out this week. All right, so let's go into this interview. You're going to see CG Doja Fett. You're going to see CG SB Crumb, good old Maurice, and myself in this interview. And yes, thanks to CG for the exclusive access to this stuff. And thank you all for coming out to see the video.
How's everybody doing?
Doing great. Yeah, I mean, so Conquest is going to live on this galactic battle table now. We've kind of renamed it from Galactic War to Galactic Battles because there'll be multiple galactic conflicts on this space now, I guess we'll call it. And so you can always go back to war. That's still an option here, but you'll have Conquest. And I've just got a brand new account here. So this should bring me through like first time the kind of dialogue you'll see when you come in here. There will be some kind, once you get into this, it'll explain kind of the different modes and the different kind of rewards and all that structure we were just mentioning. So, yeah, so right now, obviously there's two options here. I've got normal, I got hard. There is going to be, I believe these recommendations and requirements are going to be a little different in the final version here. So don't look too closely at this. But they'll kind of walk us through this, but everyone will have to start on normal. So you get a good feeling for what normal looks like here. And so we've got some different sectors we can get through. There's 5 sectors in this event that you're trying to work through. I can sort of click on here and see what the bosses are before I commit to one or another, sort of seeing, okay, it's G12, this one's Relic 1. And you can also look at all the rewards too. So if you want to see what like a reward crate looks like, or even what the rewards are for the entire event, as Maurice was saying, you're going to get these sort of conquest key cards that are sort of your points for how much you'll earn throughout the event. And as you go, you'll immediately get the rewards see listed here. And then at the end of the event, you'll get this box of rewards, depending on how far you've progressed, right? So that's, all the way to the end here. You'll get a whole bunch of different kind of stuff. And this will be different for different people. Oh, there's something fun that probably no one's seen yet.
Look, everyone. The Razor Crest.
I got a little nervous when that popped up on the screen, to be honest. I got a little nervous. Like,
you weren't alone. You weren't alone.
But the crate you'll get is at the end of the events, just to be clear on that, right? So, but the stuff like that's just out here, this you'll get immediately. So these Conquest credits and that kind of stuff, you will get as you're playing through. But so once you're ready to decide on which ones you want to do, you hit commit and it'll say, hey, you're about to get locked into normal for the duration of the event. You cannot switch this once you've locked in. So just so you know, you're kind of you're making a decision. Each event will ask you to make the decision again. So the next time this runs, you're not like locked into normal forever and like that. But
and
for this event, I'll be here.
The first run through, everyone has to do normal, so it's not really. It's you're kind of easing us in gently to this. And also, I should say, I just noticed that your GP is about 2.6 million. So you've downloaded a smaller account to kind of run through normal. Is that what you've done?
Yeah. I didn't want to go with like maxed out GP here and just kind of show myself just stomping through normal. So yeah, I think like someone who's in like the 2.6 million GP range, like I have on this account, should be able to progress pretty far. This is the account I've been testing a lot on and resetting and going back through this, and I've been able to progress fairly far through this whole event. Sometimes depending on what kind of options you get, you may be able to progress a little easier, a little harder. But also like, sometimes you may not be able to, depending on what your GP is, if it's pretty low, you may not be able to complete the whole thing, but you will get a ton of rewards along the way. We hope that like the combinations of consumables and all sorts of other stuff will help you get through over time. And these are going to run for a couple of weeks, right? So you don't have to solve this tomorrow. And I should say your roster is not locked either. So like as you're progressing in the game like normal, you'll be able to use these characters here as you power them up as well. So
that was actually a question I had. Like, does your roster lock when you enter? So you can make it, you can progress your characters if just keep them churning, keep them growing, and have a better shot. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so you're not locked in like most PvP events. We're not locking in your characters in. This isn't PvP at all. You're not competing against other people at the moment. But so you're trying to get these key cards. That's the main thing you're getting for rewards, and that's either through 3-starring the map or 3-starring the battles, or doing these event feats. And each of these will kind of do different kinds of give you different kinds or amounts of those key cards. I will hop into the first sector here. It's going to show me the boss all the way at the end. I hope all this localization's in here. It looks like
Could
it
you read
is.
that out? Oh, too bad. I wanted to hear you go.
If you use my best Trandoshan accent, I don't think so. But yeah, there are different types of nodes around here. There's the combat missions, there's the scavengers, and the data disk stockpiles. And you can see on the map, you can see vaguely what you're going to run into, right? Like if I tap this, it'll say, hey, this is a scavenger. You're going to probably find a scavenger here, where these are combat nodes and these are those stockpile nodes. Notice I don't get a ton more information though. The only information I get is kind of with the start of this fog of war here, which is these first 3 nodes. So I can see all these kind of different options I have. I can see what enemies I'll face along the way. And oftentimes there are modifiers as well, right? So I can click into here and say, okay, first row allies are going to get these bonuses, whatnot. Over prepared is a bunch more health, protection, speed, all that kind of fun stuff. So I can kind of like mix and match here and go like, okay, which of these squads do I really want to fight from the start here?
And what's the Jawa the scavenger nodes? Is that's kind of a connected to the Razor Crest being the reward? Is that what's happening there?
The scavengers can have lots of different stuff in them. They can have gear. They can have also bonuses like the consumables as well. We'll try and get to one of those, and you can see the kind of stuff that will appear on that. The data discs are the things that are, and I have some right here to start, that are giving you permanent buffs to your team. So let me grab one of these and figure out which one do I want to do here. Let's see. You got I like caustic emissions. That one's really great. Gives them some damage over time at the start.
Now, I see here some of these are green and some of them are white. So I guess it's kind of like a common, uncommon. There are blue ones down the road. Like, is it just a random spawn chance, or is it pretty locked in? Like every time we'll have like a choice of a green one and a bunch of whites.
So these are all fairly randomized. The thing that is the same for every person will be the boss at the end. So your run may have some of these, and you're absolutely right. Like these gray ones are sort of the most common ones. These green ones, this defensive buff one, is a little bit more rare. And you can see there's also a little like star count or little diamond count at the bottom. That is the amount of spots it'll take up, and I'll show you that in a second. I'm just gonna say let's do man, the health recovery is pretty solid, I think. I'm gonna try that. So like whenever an ally gains a buff, they also recover 7% health. Just keep my folks alive here. So
I really like the I like the ones that stack. You can just make your characters super characters every time they get buffs. I really like putting all those together.
Yeah, and there's kind of like different kind of like builds for them. Like we were experimenting with like different debuff builds or buff builds or speed builds or all sorts of kind of stuff that really kind of opens up the roster that you'll have access to here. Like not just the normal traditional squads you see in like Arena or Grand Arena. Because of these modifiers, there's some really weird squads you could definitely pull into this. So hopefully we'll see some of those today. I don't know if my roster's up to the task, but I think good old Maurice is here. Will definitely show us some weird squads, I think.
Now it shows here this one's got 2 little dots on it, so that's going to take 2 of the 12, right? And over the course,
2 of the 12.
Like over the course of the battle, you're going to accumulate way more of these, right? So you can swap them in and out and change up your builds, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a little cost to like swapping them out, so it's not free. So you are kind of locking them in a little bit. So you kind of want maybe one that's a little bit more broad, maybe to start with. Like, okay, lots of allies give out buffs to each other, so this is a pretty good generic one. But as you get farther down, as you can see, like each of these will give me a choice between more. Right now, I said I can't quite see that yet. Once I complete this battle, I'll be able to see my options here. And so now I've chosen and committed to that node. You can see I can choose now between these 2 nodes. This bottom one is gone, right? Like because I can't backtrack and go the other direction here. So let's try. Let's see. I want to keep my options open. Let's do the Gene Oceans here. And so there's like a little bit of energy cost to get into these. It's 15 energy right now in this. I'm not sure if that's final. And you can see I got 3 stars. There's some key cards. The 3 stars are the key cards. And once I jump in here, also notice something different. There's this stamina bar here. And that is my characters are sort of losing their efficacy over time. That does regenerate. And after a battle, I'll show you how that all works. But let's like throw in like a Darth Revan squad here.
Can you go in short-handed?
I could absolutely go in short-handed. I could bring in, I mean, there's no bonus for that, but I would also use less stamina overall. So like maybe there's a reason to do that, especially if you're like low on stamina for some characters. This should do pretty well. It's not really a buff-based squad, actually. Let me do Jedi, because they love buffs. They're all about the buffs.
But regarding stamina, like you'll use a character and you'll lose about, was it 10%
Yeah,
stamina per
10%
battle?
stamina.
And that affects a character how? Like what?
Yeah, and I don't think I can click in there right now, but after this battle, I'll show you. It's basically 10% of your stats drop out for each of those 10%, right? So eventually your character getting down to like 50%, you're losing a lot of stats on those characters. Instead, that regenerates over time. There's also some consumables that will restore that if you need that in the short term. But over the course of the couple of weeks you'll be playing through this, you'll be able to use those characters over and over and over again, but maybe not necessarily all in one time. You'll be able to use this same exact squad. So I got some G12s here. I think my Revan is he's got R3 on him. He's okay. Some decent mods. Some of my other squads are not well modded, so we'll see how well those do. But like we'll just go into the first battle here and hope for the best. And then after that, I'll definitely show you the stamina stuff. Let's see how. I'm going to speed this up because this is a brand new count. So let's get the Brood Alpha out of here if we can.
What I like about this is you guys put like realistic Grand Arena TW type teams on the board. So it's kind of cool to actually test out your characters, work out your counters and stuff in a PvE mode for PvP. So I do like that aspect of it a lot.
Yeah, there's definitely a good part of it for that. I mean, of course, there are modifiers and other stuff here that's making it a little bit not like a kind of 1-to-1 ratio for that.
Yeah.
But there is definitely because you can replay these as much as you want. There's definitely ways to do this. And I shouldn't have shared my buffs so early here. But we will make this happen. Let's see here. So if my guys were hurt, of course, you're not going to see it. They would all be recovering health. As you can see, that kind of pops up there. I should slow this down. As my guys are getting buffs, obviously, I'm getting a whole bunch of health regeneration from that data disk I use specifically. And so I will speed it back up here, but you can see basically because he just keeps getting buffs, it is definitely helping my character stay alive here. Let's see if I can give him, see, you can give buffs, right? So give him retribution here. So you can see he healed my lead here a little bit as well. I'll go back up to speed so we can get this done.
One of the things I found with having all of the diversity in squads is it was very nostalgic. Like you can go in and like legitimately fight Night Sisters again, and and also really high relic teams that you don't typically see in GAC. That might be older teams like the Phoenix or Kira or the Scoundrels or something, and you're fighting like one that's really relict, and it's a very different experience fighting them when they were like Gear 11 and Gear 12 in GAC. Yeah.
The definitely some of the buffs like you're talking about with the Phoenix squad here, they don't have it on this one. There's like is it the odds? Yeah, there's another one where like the rebels get like a ton of extra attacks, like 50% chance to just keep attacking over and over again, and like it makes Phoenix way harder. But yeah, as you said, like these are squads that we've sort of defined. There's a bunch of buckets of squads you can kind of pull from. It's not just randomizing who's thrown into and kind of giving you a mismatch. It is actually giving you a squad to face. And these will get harder over time. Like I'm in G12 right now, but as I progress further through this, I'll probably get up to some relic characters. By the time I get to Sector 2. So I will go into another battle here. Let's fight against Night Sisters. So we're talking about them. So you can see my stamina has dropped down to 90% here. And if I pop on here, it'll say like, hey, your allies, you're losing stats on this because you're getting stamina. You can go and buy these things at the store to go these sort of stim packs to help refresh that. But it'll tell me like, hey, like my Jedi Knight Revan's normally 291 speed. Well, this one's 270 right now because I've lost that 10%. But you can see he'll recover stamina over time. So I can also, there's a Conquest Store, which you can access from a couple of different places that pop out.
So the tickets you're earning, like you got 10 there when you completed the battle. You'll get, as you progress, you kind of briefly showed the prizes. Yeah. So this is where you can use these tickets. It's almost like another Galactic War currency, Arena Store currency sort of thing.
Yeah, and most stuff is going to be reset. The one thing that will not be reset in between events is this currency, right? So you can save this stuff up and use it between events. But you can see here, like I could get this large stim pack, which will restore 50% of my stamina to a character, or I could say get a little speed booster. And one thing I didn't show when I was in the consumable menu, which I should have, is there's besides the data disc, there's these consumables, right? So I can then equip one of each of these kinds, and I can use those to do to give me a little boost for a couple battles. But and I should say, like, while I did use energy on these, if I like failed at, say, you know, and I can go back to these ones as well. So if say I went back and didn't 3-star this one initially, I go back and spend some energy to go do this. If I lose that battle though, I don't lose stamina. I'm not like fighting a losing battle over and over again where I keep like losing stamina just because I'm not winning. And now my team is even worse and worse and worse every time. You're only using those consumables and only using that stamina if you win the battle and complete it successfully. So it's a little bit easier than just, you know, you're getting beat up and things are getting worse and worse because you just don't have the resources to get there. We didn't want that experience.
And the stamina regenerates pretty quickly. It's 1% every 30 minutes. So, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's final, but I believe, yeah, something like along like that, where you're going to get it back fairly regularly. Of course, if you're spamming a whole bunch of battles right in a row, then like, and you're losing, you know, 40% of your stamina, that's going to take a while to come back. But again, this is running for multiple weeks, so it's not like you can't, you know, get the wait a day or two and get that back. Big heal on my team that I didn't need.
Oh yeah, I saw all those green numbers. Their whole side of the screen lit up green for all 7%. Yeah.
Which I wish I had the protection up one or something like that. Like that would be more helpful right now because I'm not getting beat up too bad. Actually,
might be helpful right now.
Plague, as I say that, I'm like, well, actually, just kidding. This might actually be pretty useful for the team to get rid of Plague. Try and just get Daka down here. I don't know if that's the best move, but get out of here, zombie.
There are some pretty OP data discs as you progress through the different sectors. The further you get, the better selection of these you have, and some of them are pretty silly. Like they're pretty.
Yeah,
nasty.
I'll maybe credit myself. I'll buff up this account a little bit in after we finish up here for a little while, and I'll show you some of the other funner data discs because there's a whole bunch of weird ones, as you were saying, where you're like. You're getting, if they're below 50% health, they'll just like die immediately if they have fear on them. There's some ways to really mess up your the enemy squad here. And like as you like, you know, go up against higher and higher relic squads, it's going to get harder. And so being able to have that kind of boost for as you said, to bring in older teams as well, like say your Jawas is great, you know, for whatever reason, then you have the opportunity to use them here. And there's some ways in which you can do that pretty effectively given the data discs that are out there. Let's see if I can just get enough AoEs here to take down this really, really annoying Night Sister Acolyte. Dang you, Acolyte. Come on.
She's slow too, so she's.
I know she's not even. She's never going to take a turn. Yeah, there's some data discs that like remove turn meter from the enemy squad as well. So if you're like when you damage them, so if you're doing a ton of damage, like over and over and over, little attacks, it can be really useful to like pin down a squad basically and take a lot of turns. So now I have some Conquest currency. I will go to that store. And I will say, like, one of these speed boosters. That's obviously a pretty good one. We all love speed. Mm-hmm. But, you know, this potency as well. And, like, these are pretty significant amounts of those values, too. Like, you know, 54% potency for 4 battles. That's a lot of potency.
What's the penetration booster?
Defense penetration, 27%. You know, it's an important tool in the toolbox, of course. I don't know why you would feel awkward around that one at all. Sometimes we all need a little bit of defense penetration boost. So you can see here, I can confirm and say, hey, I wanted to bring this. And this, no matter what squad I bring in, the data disc and these consumables will be active, said. But I won't be burning up those turns unless I'm actually beating these battles. So I can see here there's some more data discs. So I'm just going to try and knock this one out quickly. Though my squad is getting a little lower on stamina, but I think I could still, with a little luck here, I think we'll be okay. And you should be critiquing my bad play style, so please feel free to tell me how I'm doing this wrong.
I appreciate that.
Go for it. Go for it, Doja. Go for it, Doja.
I can't say too much because since I moved to the new role, I don't get as much hands-on with beta testing and stuff. And so like right now, I'm just being wowed by Crumb's prowess because I wouldn't know what I'm doing as much.
Yes, keep telling them you're wowed by me. Excellent, good work, all.
Yeah,
check us in the mail, sir.
All I know is like all I'm buying are defense penetration boosts.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say stuff like that.
That's incredibly inappropriate, Doja. I don't know why you would say such a thing. This is a family show.
They put a puzzle on me.
Yeah. Never. Not like we could if we wanted to. So
okay.
I got some more here. All right.
It looks like as you're like you beat a node there in the, I think you call it the fog of war, kind of move forward. Like every tier and then when you get to some of the further sectors, the paths start getting a little crazier, start going in different directions. But it looks like you can kind of see like which data disks are ahead of you, so you can kind of pick your path based on that's what I was curious about.
Obviously, something like way out here, I couldn't see it. And as you can see here, I have a choice between a scavenger or data disks, right? So if you really want to focus on getting a whole bunch of data disks, you can, but you're maybe missing out what's in the scavenger, which maybe you want, as Team Eddie brought up, like maybe you want to get that Razor Crest shard that's hanging out there. So there's opportunities to get both throughout this kind of match here. And I want to get to one of the scavengers just so you guys can see what that looks like.
And are the scavenger nodes the only place to get the Razor Crest? You can't get them out of the store?
I believe right now the place you can get them is from the crates. So obviously we saw on some of these later crates as well. Not every crate has them. This one has 5, for example. There are a couple different places where you can get the Razor Crest. I can't remember if it's going to be in the store or not. I do not believe so. There are some character shards and some good gear and stuff like that. I have a couple droid collars apparently.
Not only 61 MK6
man, but those thermal detonator salvage, man, I'm just really constrained on that one.
And so you said the store currency you keep, but the currency that you use on the scavenger nodes, that goes away every round.
It's this Conquest credits. Those can be used on the merchants, those scavenger nodes, or wherever. The things that are reset are your consumables, your data disks, your energy, all that kind of stuff gets reset. So you want to use this Conquest currency pretty frequently because there is a cap to it as well.
Well done. I like that.
Yes. We can't hoard.
Cannot hoard it, though. It is useful to have to definitely carry some over to the next event. We didn't want to make it so someone who's coming in later is just like, well, I haven't played for the last 3 events, so I don't have any of this now, and I'm screwed, right? So you can earn stuff over time and definitely get that. So
yeah, and we're in normal mode right now, and you can still get the Razor Crest in normal mode. So that's nice for players who have lower TP.
It'd be very mean to release this event and say, hey, everyone's got to play normal. By the way, we also have the Razor Crest. No one can get that right now, but I'll go over to the consumables here. And so I've just credited myself a whole bunch of these. But you can see there's kind of different tiers of them as well. I've got the regular defense penetration booster, and of course the overcharged defense penetration booster. Slightly different stats on those. And so let's say I can confirm and equip one of those. I have these 3 tech pieces here. The critical dot tech, whenever it inflicts enemy receives critical damage, they also inflict with damage over time, which seems pretty good. Or if game protection up returns, if my allies receive a critical hit, let's put that one on. And this overcharged med pack, because that's going to actually work pretty well together, given how much extra protection we have.
Wow, very cool.
So I guess then you can see, hey, I've got this remaining for 4 battles. This one is for 2 battles. This one's also for 2 battles. You can tap through them. And so if you just want to know what goes in this slot, you can just tap on that slot and it will show you only the ones that are available there. And you could put this over this and say, I want to replace it with something else, but it's going to say, hey, you sure you want to do this? Like, you already have this going on for 2 battles here. So potentially you want to just wait for that to burn out before you run down its duration before you throw another one on there.
So if you take it out before it's complete, do you lose it? Does it go away?
You lose it. Okay. These are consumed as you use them, so you can said if you really want to swap to something else, you can, but it's definitely not worth it. if you can. I would not suggest doing that if possible.
And then you're allowed one per slot, so one booster, one
per
med
slot.
pack, one tech.
Yep, one of each of those types. And so there's multiple types, there's multiple effects. So there's kind of some tiers to them as well. As you see the regular versus the more rare one, the overcharged versions. You can see that the icons down here, kind of the little green symbol versus the traditional common symbol. So yeah,
are there blue? I mean, are there blue consumables like purple?
I don't believe so. I think these are just the two tiers we have right now. But in the future, we've left the system open up so we can potentially add more. I think like data discs obviously are a great spot for us to add tons of new ones as well over time. I think that really changes up the battle and the squads you can use. So I'd hope that we could, introduce those on a somewhat regular cadence. Essentially definitely not every time we run into these, but we'll be running this exhibition for a couple times, and then we'll figure out how we're going to adjust and pivot for the next future events.